Okay, well this is a 30-minute Pilates video if you'd like to follow along. We're just going to start with a warm-up. So lying down on the mat, and we're just going to quickly go over the T-zone. So the T-zone is a line, imagining a line from one hip to the other, and we're pressing that line down towards the mat. And then the other part of the T-zone is a line from the pubic bone up to the centre of that first line, and we're lifting up through the pelvic floor. So we hold the T-zone on throughout most of these exercises. So we're going to start with a warm-up. We're just going to have a neutral spine, so just a natural curve in the lower back. We're going to take one foot slightly off the ground, extend that leg out straight, bring that leg in, place the foot down, and then go to the other side. Lifting the leg a couple of inches off the ground, leg out straight, bending the knee back down. So we're alternating sides. So we inhale to lift up, exhale to extend, inhale to come back, exhale down. Other side, inhale up, exhale extending, inhale bending the leg, exhale down. Just continue doing a few more, just focusing on the T-zone. And in Pilates, we like to breathe in through the nose or out through the mouth. But breathing is really the last consideration. If you can think of T-zone and what your lower back is doing and the other instructions, that's great. And then try and get your breathing into the pattern that I'm going to be recommending. So while we're lying here, we also want to think about our neck position. So we don't want our chin pointed towards the ceiling. We want to tuck our chin down slightly so that we've got a nice long line between the head and the torso. Switching on the T-zone, last couple of lift and extends. Okay, last one. We're going to move on to an exercise called toe taps. So we're going to take both feet off the ground. So this is where we're going to imprint the lower back into the mat. Want our legs in tabletop position, so a nice square position, and with our back imprinted, tapping one foot down and then the other foot. So exhale to tap down, inhale to come up. We've got our chin tucked and our lower back imprinted into the mat. If you're finding this one a bit too difficult, you can invert it, so both feet down and one leg up. Still switching on the T-zone. So that's just if you need this option. I'm going to go back into the more advanced option. Just check your lower back, make sure it's imprinted. One more on each leg, and we're going to rest back down. Next one is single bent legs. So we're going to bring our legs into tabletop position, imprint the lower back, T-zone on, and exhale as we lift our head and shoulders off the floor. And single bent leg, we bring one leg toward us, the other leg out straight, we stretch this knee towards us, and then we swap. So we exhale to extend, inhale to swap. Now to make this easier, you would be kicking up higher, and that goes with a lot of these exercises where we're lifting our upper body off the ground. So that would make it easier. Lower will make it harder. We always want to be thinking about curling upper body off the ground and curling ribs to hips, scooping the abs down. Definitely got our T-zone on and spine imprinted for this one. If you do find any of these exercises too hard, you can always go back to an exercise that felt okay for you and just repeat that one until you're ready to try another exercise. One more on each leg and resting down. We've now got bicycle legs, so again we start in tabletop position, imprint the lower back, switch the T-zone on and inhale, Exhale, lift the upper body off the ground. This time we're going to place our hands behind our neck, starting in a nice square tabletop position and then stretching out one leg at a time. Easier again is kicking up higher. Harder it will be kicking down lower. Still curling the bottom of our ribs towards our hips, so lifting the upper body off the ground. And if you need to rest at any point, just place your feet and head down for a few seconds and join back in when you can. Definitely want our lower back imprinted. Keep your elbows wide, fingers just lightly on the back of your neck. Let's do 2 more on each leg. Resting back down. Alright, our next exercise is hundreds. So for this one you can have your feet on the ground, which would be the easiest option, but you'll still feel it in your abs. You can have your legs in tabletop position, or you can have your legs up toward the ceiling. You might want to flex your feet, turn them out, and just slightly down from that vertical position. So if you've got your feet on the ground, you can just have a natural curve. All the other positions you need to imprint your lower back. So I'm going to do tabletop position. I'm going to reach past my hips, spine imprinted, T-zone on, palms towards the ground, and we're just pulsing for about a minute. I'm just going to time that. Let's go. So really reaching past the hips will naturally switch the T-zone on. And you can think pulsing down for a breath in, 5 pulses down for a breath in, and 5 for a breath out. Keep going. We just want to check your shoulders that they're not creeping up towards your ears, so you can think about drawing them away from your ears. Still curling ribs to hips, well over halfway. Reaching past the hips, almost there. And resting down. Just give your neck, your head a gentle turn from side to side. We've got one ab exercise to go. So we're going to come up into tabletop position, spine imprinted, T-zone on, and inhale. Exhale, lift your upper body off the ground, and we're going to take one leg out straight, and we're going to rotate towards the bent knee, back in, other side. Again, kicking up higher, taking the pressure off your back will make it a little bit easier on your abs, lower to make it harder. But we do want to keep our elbows wide for this one, rather than up like this. And we want to think armpit to opposite knee. So instead of elbow to knee, armpit to opposite knee. It is quite a tough one, so if you need to have a few seconds rest, you might want to take that now. Got a little bit to go. Or just keep going. Check your lower back is imprinted. One more on each side. And resting down. Well, that's our abs section done. So we're going to come over onto our side now and do some work for the glute medius, side glute and outer thigh. So starting with your bottom arm extended along the mat. We want our knees bent, so our knees are out in line with our hips and our heels are in line with our knees. We're going to separate knees and ankles, lifting up into a clam. So you want to make sure that you're not leading with your ankle, so knees coming up as high as your ankle. And the other really important thing is to make sure you're not rolling back. So we call that having your hips stacked. So if there was a pin going right through from one hip to the other, and if you're doing that, you can't do that. Keep the hips stacked. We want to exhale as we lift the leg up. And you want a little gap on the underside waist. So just think about drawing that bottom waist up slightly, resting down, but that goes for all these exercises. So we'll continue on with rectangles. So we want to bring our knees back so our feet are in line with our body. Top leg straight, little gap in the underside waist, forward in front of the body, up towards the ceiling slightly, back in line with the body, and just down to hip height, and we're drawing a rectangle. Want our T-zone on to stop any swaying through the torso. Last one, this direction. And we're just going to change direction. So we start with our leg in line with our body, going up, out in front of our body, down to hip height, back in line. And just breathing naturally for this one. And resting. Quick break, and then we'll go back into zigzag. So for zigzag, we go forward, turn our foot down, heel to the ceiling, tap, bring the foot back in line with the leg, back, leg in line with the body, and we're lifting up. Little gap on the underside waist. Almost there. Last one. And we bring our legs together for a quick break. And now we've got bicycles. So top leg is straight in line with the body, but foot is flexed this time. We bring our knee up toward our chest, straighten the leg out, back round in line with the body. So as if you're riding a really big bicycle. What you want to do here is keep your leg parallel to the floor, which means not lifting your heel up, but having your heel in line with your hip and your knee, and keeping in that plane as you go around. And doing as big a knee lift as you can. Still keeping that little gap in the underside waist. Last one round, and we're just going to change direction, so we go back the other way. Hang in there. Two more. Last one. Bringing our legs together, both legs out straight. We're going to do a double leg lift. This is to work the top waist. So feet are flexed for balance. You can bring your legs slightly forward if you need to, just for balance. Hand in front, well, there's two options. The first option is hand in front, head stays down, and lifting both legs off the ground and just squeezing into that top waist. And if you put your hand there, you'll feel that that muscle will harden up. Second option is hand on your thigh with head coming up. So you're just reaching down your thigh and it just allows you to go a little bit further. So it's a slightly harder option, but what you don't want to do is start lifting up. So you've got to disengage that bottom arm and just using this arm to reach down. And you want to think about pausing slightly at the top, so you're really squeezing into that top waist. You want to exhale as you come up. Generally, we're exhaling on the hardest part of the movement. And let's just hold it up here and squeeze into that waist. And back down. Let's go to the other side. So we're going to set up, bottom arm extended along the mat. Knees are out in line with the hips, heels in line with the knees, keeping our hips stacked. And we're separating ankles and knees, drawing the top shoulder away from the ears, and a little gap in the underside waist. And we can exhale as we lift up. We're almost there. Got 5 more to go. Last one. Legs together, and then we're going to bring our knees back so our feet are in line with our body. Top leg straight. We've got rectangles, so we start with our leg up at hip height from the floor, going forward up toward the ceiling. Leg back in line with the body and just down to hip height. Little gap on the underside waist. And let's reverse it this time. So we're going to go up toward the ceiling, out in front of the body, down to hip height, back in line with the body. Two more. Quick break, and then we've got zigzag. So we take our leg out straight, forward in front of the body, toe to the ground, heel to the ceiling, tap down, and then back in line with the body and lifting up, extending out from the body. Keeping that little gap in the underside waist. And making sure that shoulder is drawing away from the ear. And this is our last one. Bring our legs together, and we've got bicycle legs. So top leg straight, foot flexed. Bringing the knee towards the chest, straightening the leg out, back in line with the body. Keep going around. A little gap on the underside waist. Last one this direction. When you get back to the start, reverse it, going out, away in front of the body first and then back in line. Keeping that leg parallel to the floor. Make sure you're not leading or with the heel higher than the knee. Two more. Last one. So we finished our side lying series. So we might go to some upper body now. So lying down on the mat. Our feet are going to stay on the ground. This is swan. This is relatively easy, but it's a warm up for the other exercises we'll be doing. So hands are just beside you, palms on the ground, and all we're going to do is draw our shoulder blades together and release. So I'm actually not pushing through my hands at all. This one we inhale as we come up, exhale to go down. Alright, this is our last one. We're going to stay in that position and we're just going to lift our arms off the ground, keep them in that bent position and just do little circles. So the focus here is the bottom half of the circle where we squeeze our shoulder blades together and then release. Almost there. And resting. Just going to bring our arms around down near our hips now. We're going to draw our shoulder blades down and back, lift the upper body off the ground. Arms are straight and we're just going to take our palms to the ground and twist them towards the ceiling. So we want to think about rotating out from the shoulder, and this works at triceps, and it's surprising what it actually does the next day. You often feel sore from doing this. So we're lifting the upper body off the ground, squeezing palms to the ground, palms to the ceiling, keeping the arms really straight. Eyes are just looking at the mat. And resting down. So we're going to do Superman hold. So placing your arms out in front, lifting your legs off the ground, squeezing your glutes, lifting your arms off the ground, and we're going to do that for 30 seconds. So we're just holding and breathing. So shoulder blades are squeezing together, glutes are squeezing together. Well over halfway. Just holding and breathing. and releasing. Coming up, we've got a set of glute exercises to do, and then we'll stretch. So coming up into a kneeling position, and just with a neutral back, I'm going to lift one knee off the ground out into a straight leg, squeeze the glute at that point, bring it back in. So this is called a horse kick. Want to exhale as you take the leg out. And just keeping your eyes looking at the mat so that your head isn't sticking up or hanging down, just to keep a nice long line between the neck and the torso and the head. Alright, this time we're going to hold the leg up there, keeping the leg really straight, hip bones pointed to the ground and little pulses. Hold that leg still, and we're going to change it to little circles. And reverse direction. Hold it still again, and we're going to take the leg out away from the body, bring it back in. So going just as far as you can go without twisting through the torso, and you want to try and keep that leg up at hip height. Two more. Last one. So let's just change sides. You don't need to turn around. I'm just going to turn around for the camera. So back into our kneeling position, and knee off the ground, extending out into that horse kick, squeezing the glute while you're up there. Not long till we stretch. Okay, this time let's hold it up. We've got our little pulses. Holding the leg still, and we've got our little circles, just keeping the leg as high as you can for this one. And reverse direction. Hold it still, and we're going to go out away from the body, back in line. Keeping the leg up in line with the body. Two more. Last one. Let's stretch. So we're just going to sit down into a prayer stretch, sitting on your heels, reaching out in front. You want to feel like you're stretching your shoulder blades away from your hips as you creep your fingers forward and then sit down. And we're going to change this into a stretch down one side. So we're going to take our legs to one side, it doesn't matter which one. And then as you sit down again, you'll feel it more strongly on the opposite side to where your feet are. And we'll just take our feet to the other side, sitting down again. Let's come back up into a kneeling position. We've done a lot of work for the glutes today, so we definitely want to stretch those. So bringing one knee forward, ankling across the body, and then just sitting down to where you can feel that stretch in this top leg, just in the glute there. So whether you come down on your forearms or you can go even further if you can get down there. And let's do our second leg. Knee forward, ankling across the body, sitting down on that leg.